Hello, this is Mole Man in the morning. Good Mole Man to you. Today, part 4 of our series of the agonizing pain in which I live every day.
Who disrupts my coronation?
Everyone has been destroyed because of this freak. I won't allow it! These babies just saved this lame fest party!
Hey guys, what's going on? You are listening to ThisWeekInGeek.net. I'm your host, Mike the Birdman, but I'm not alone as we end our spring season here on TWIG. I'm joined with my compatriot, my best friend, a guy who makes sure stuff works in my household, even when it shouldn't.
Yes, Alex the producer / Alex the make TV work.
Yeah, Alex, I had to call him in a panic as my TV decided to basically commit seppuku this week. And fortunately, we were able to recover all my settings in about an hour and a half of entering passwords. Oh my God.
Basically, if you've got more than like 2 things connected to your TV and you're using like audio return channels and that, it can get confusing if you're not familiar with how that stuff works.
Yeah, like it just got so weird because like something on my receiver got tripped and it wasn't talking to certain devices, and me and Alex, we tried every troubleshooting thing, then we finally hit the nuclear option of, all right, to hell with this, factory reset, and it worked. So
factory reset and then told it to detect a new handshake, basically.
Yeah, so everything is working. It cost me a night of Dungeons and Dragons, which is really sad, but hey, I'm glad it works now. Big thanks to Alex for helping me do that. Other than that, this week for me has been so busy. For those of you that don't know, last Wednesday was National Indigenous History Day, and I participated in a number of different ceremonies this week. I was at a planting ceremony and a water ceremony and a tobacco ceremony in Fergus, where I was basically, what I would do is we would dig a hole to put the sweetgrass in, the tobacco in, and I would pour water from a copper glass or pot, and then I would put some tobacco in there, and I would do kind of I really can't get into the specifics of it because that's just kind of the way it is, but basically put good intentions in, and we would do this across, I think it was like 2 or 3 acres, but we were using these planters out at the Indigenous Gathering Circle in Fergus, and it was just a really, really, really good time. The group that I was in actually had the mayor of Wellington County, Sean, and we just had a really good time. I worked with another OPP officer named Ron. I was there working with a pastor who was like, I really want to atone for what's happened. I'm really here to learn and to really be sorry. And I'm like, that's really good. So we had this really awesome set of conversations while like we were planting. My friend Amber was the one who set all this up. And then later on that evening, I went down to Riverside Park here in Guelph and basically hung out at the Indigenous Day ceremony where there was like dancers and speakers and drummers. I got a chance to meet our local MPP, Mike Schreiner, always came over for a picture and just a chat. So that was a fantastic time. And yeah, this week was Dial a Native. I remember doing a number of interviews and pieces this week, so it's been remarkably busy. That and playing Diablo 4, which you're going to be hearing in this week's review from me, and preparing for one of our last big shows of the spring. I've been spending time with my friend Liam, and we've been watching the Michael Bay Transformers movies and watching those through an entirely different lens of 15 years later, how do they stack up? And interesting observations, I would say, what I've had. We're going to be doing, as of this recording, we should just be finishing up Age of Extinction, and then we're going into the last night, and then we'll do Bumblebee, and if I'm lucky, I might be able to squeeze in one more viewing of Rise of the Beasts before we record with Ken and JT. And other than that, that's pretty much been my week. Alex, what about you, buddy?
Review items, some I can't talk about, some I can, well, Final Fantasy 16, I've put in 38 hours since launch. So, like, my last 5 days have basically been Final Fantasy plus a few other review items, just getting prepared, because once we go on hiatus, right? So, that's basically been it, man. Like, that is it. Final Fantasy.
Now, is that a game that I would enjoy?
Yes, it's BioWare Final Fantasy.
All right. Well, that's definitely a huge kind of selling point for me, because I've been very nervous to get back into Final Fantasy. Like, I know a couple years ago you showed me that Kingsglaive, and it looked interesting.
It's not really well, okay. It's Final Fantasy, but it's not really Final Fantasy.
So Final Fantasy with the serial number scratched off, or
no? It's Final Fantasy. It's just if you play it on like regular mode and don't have any of the like easy stuff on, it's basically like Devil May Cry.
Okay, interesting.
And then if you play it on the easier mode, more of a casual play with some of the enhancements on, where it like auto dodges and stuff for you, it's basically like Dragon Age Inquisition. They took aspects of BioWare's Dragon Age series, mixed it with Game of Thrones, and then added the Final Fantasy flavor to it.
Interesting. Yeah, that may be something I'm going to have to check out then.
This has the most dialogue spoken I have ever seen from an RPG.
Wow, and that says a lot. Yeah, I'm going to have to check that out. Oh,
it's also very dark.
Ooh.
Like children, murder, slaves. I will give one little thing. It's like a side quest. There's one where you find a girl and she's lost her pet, and she's crying, and you go to find her lost pet. Well, her lost pet is one of her slaves, who she's upset. She's upset that the slave doesn't want to play with her anymore because the slave has died because they stopped feeding her.
Jesus.
And
I'm curious now.
And she's upset because daddy won't buy me another one for, weeks.
Jesus, that is dark.
And this is like the 6th one she's gone through where she names it the same name like a dog.
Oh, wow.
And that's one small aspect of it.
Wow.
There's like a lot of children murder in this game.
Jeez, well.
And on screen, like, slice their neck open, they're bleeding everywhere. Children and people, like, it's very much about slavery, the whole game.
Wow. Well, I guess if anybody knows how to handle a subject matter like this well, it would be the Final Fantasy guys.
Well, what's weird is it's nothing like a story of Final Fantasy. It's very Western oriented.
All right. Well, yeah. I guess if it goes on sale around Christmas, maybe I'll grab it.
It's Game of Thrones. It's basically Game of Thrones. Like, and you can even see you get a dire wolf.
Oh God, yeah, you're right.
yeah, which was left like abandoned from its pack that your father found while roaming the far north.
Oh my God, yeah, it's fucking Ned Stark.
Your father gets his head chopped off in the prologue, which was in the trailer, so it's not spoiling anything. And there is a creepy little boy who like sucks his thumb, resting his head on his mommy's lap, and he's going to be the emperor.
Yeah, that's
the
lot guy from the Eyrie.
There is a lot of influence from Game of Thrones, and then a lot of influence on the gameplay style from like Dragon Age Inquisition.
Huh. That's fascinating. Yeah, I may have to grab this at like some point. Oh, I forgot. Can we mention the review that we're going to be working on during the break?
Maybe.
We'll just say me and Alex are going to go head to head in a special review, but we can't tell you what it is just yet. But I think you guys are going to have some fun with it.
Yes, we can't say it just yet, but yes.
Yeah,
we'll be having some fun during our break, and we'll bring it to you.
Yeah, it'll be cool. Other than that, I forgot to tell you during my little week of fun, I was actually able to pick up that Star Trek game that we requested but didn't get. So, maybe we'll talk about Star Trek video games on a future Imperfect, maybe at some point during the summer when we come back in August, which, speaking of that, so just to give you guys a complete heads up. So here's how things are going to work. We'll explain a little bit more at the end of the show. This is the last TWIG regular news show, whether it's news and reviews, the stuff that you've come to expect each and every week. So we're going to be taking a break from today's date, and then we are coming back with a new regular show on August 7th. That'll be the first new regular show with news. Alex always takes the month of August off so he can have a chance to recharge. All he does is posting and leveling audio. Basically, Alex doesn't exist during August.
Alex does back end in August with maybe some pre-recorded stuff. We'll maybe figure that out.
Yeah,
but basically,
exactly.
I go into Alex webmaster mode.
Yeah, exactly. So he doesn't exist. So I take over the website. I work with JT, Ken, Aaron, probably Enrique a bunch. I know we're going to be recording our special Halloween show with our annual special guest of James Rolfe. That'll come out in October. We're going to record that during August. We still haven't decided what we're going to do just yet, but initial conversations are happening. And then, so it'll be me programming that entire month. It's usually a lot of fun. It's usually not as much stress as I imagine typically. It'll be a blast. So, during the month of July, you will get review shows, some pre-recorded stuff, and maybe a few little special treats here and there, because I got invited to go to something in Toronto that's a strange experience, I'll just say, and I should have some interviews and some talking points about that some point in early July. So anyway, before we get any further into what is going on, we have a lot of stuff to talk about here on the show. We have some news from Nintendo. What's going on with Comic-Con? The weird news. As for reviews, I'm going to be taking a look at Diablo 4 on the PlayStation 5. We're also going to be talking about a classic cartoon that has been released as one complete set ish. And it's a weird show that involves people like the Monarch and Dr. Girlfriend. Such a strange show. And Alex, what do we got coming up from you?
We have Crime Boss Rockay City, the new heist game.
Excellent. So we will be taking a look at all that and more right here on ThisWeekInGeek.net. But before we go any further, let's go to the lands of Sanctuary and go to destroy the daughter of hatred, Lilith. This is my review of Diablo 4 on the PlayStation 5. We'll be back, guys, right after this, only on ThisWeekInGeek.net. Hey, guys, this is Mike the Birdman here. I'm here to talk about something really cool. We got a chance for review. We are looking at the PlayStation 5 version of Diablo 4 coming to us from Blizzard Entertainment. Okay, so this is one of these games that you could literally spend a lifetime analyzing because there are so many systems at play, and I will admit I've spent about 20 hours or so with this game with one character. I'm gonna have to play this through again with different with a different character. I played through it with a barbarian, and I didn't get a chance to finish the narrative campaign, but there's a reason for that. I kept going off on side quests because this sort of is like a Skyrim sort of like experience where like you can make your own fun, but you can have friends come in with you. You can do like dungeons, you can party up. It's basically the dungeon crawler loot grind. And my history with Diablo actually goes all the way back to the 90s. So I had a friend of mine named Jamie who tried to introduce him to the series, didn't really care for it. I'm like, I don't like this. And then I had a girlfriend, Christy. She played this game religiously. I think she played Diablo 2 and its expansion, and I remember she played a barbarian. So when I requested this game for review, I'm like, okay, look, the series obviously is very successful. There's a huge fan base behind it. Hell, there's even a Dungeons and Dragons module for Diablo, which I'm still kind of looking for because I think it'd be kind of neat to have in my collection, but I digress. So I went into this really not knowing what to expect. What I found was this really cool and this really deep lore in like why you're doing the things you're doing. So the storyline for this game, at least as far as I understand it, is you play as your character, either a barbarian, a druid, a necromancer, and you're fighting for basically the land of Sanctuary, which is facing this apocalyptic threat from someone known as Lilith, the daughter of hatred. And believe me, they really ring that storyline really, really deep, because believe me, you will hear Lilith, the daughter of hatred, like so many times. But it's a really cool struggle, and I was surprised how much this game actually was voiced at times. I was actually expecting a completely silent protagonist. I didn't get that. Your character actually talked, so that was really quite fun. And then when you go through like different dungeons, like it's kind of scaled to your level. So if you're going through the main narrative campaign, nothing should be too overwhelming. If you go off the beaten path, you really got to start thinking about your build. You're probably going to die a few times, and there's rewards for going into different tiered levels of like different worlds. Like there's harder bad guys, but they drop more stuff. And it's one of those things where I'm casually dipping my toe in because I literally only have 5. Amputee humor, right? But I'm actually having a really good time with this game because there's so much to learn and do. And I've watched so many YouTube videos on how to build your class optimally, but I'm not doing that. I'm just saying, you know what, to hell with it. I'm going to figure this out on my own. I'm going to make my own fun. And that's what I'm finding here. I'm finding a lot of fun figuring it out as I go. Like I've got this awesome ability as this barbarian. I think it's called like cleave or something like that. You do this awesome overhead swing, and then I pair that with another ability called Iron Skin or Barrier or something like that. So I can go in there, kick the crap out of this giant monster the second he tries to hit me. Like, ha, loser, you can't hit me. I'm invulnerable for like 6 seconds, and I'll just keep wailing on him. And it's really neat. I mean, I'm curious to know what the other things do with like spellcasters and all this stuff, and I've never played magic-based characters before, so when I go through this game again, and I probably will actually, I'm very curious to see where it goes. Now, there are microtransactions in this game, but as far as I understand, they're almost completely cosmetic. I don't think they change anything, so I haven't spent any money in this. I have no intention of spending money in this, and you can still have a great time, and you can see whenever your friends come around, random people in the world can just randomly come and help you in a fight. I've never had anybody be a jerk in my experience so far. And yeah, like I said, Diablo 4 is crazy fun, actually. If you want something that'll scratch that medieval Dungeons and Dragons Skyrim itch, this is actually kind of fun because it's different. I mean, if you liked the Diablo games so far, you're probably going to have a blast here. It's a little bit to take in terms of learning all the lore and storyline. Like, there are great videos online that will explain everything up to date, but I'm coming in relatively as a neophyte, and I'm still having a great time. So, Diablo 4 from Blizzard Entertainment, I'm enjoying my time with it. Hopefully, I will see you out there on the battlefields of Sanctuary, and we together shall destroy Lilith, the daughter of hatred. So, anyway, guys, that's going to do it for me here in this review, and you should probably check this game out.
The Prime Minister of Sweden visited Washington today, and my tiny little nipples went to France.
Gossip, rumors, panic in the streets. We're lucky.
This Week in Geek News.
And welcome back to ThisWeekInGeek.net. I'm your host, Mike the Birdman, joined with Alex, producer. All right, guys, we have only a couple stories this week, but there's a lot to get into. So we're going to start things off with one of the big news items. So this has been reported that Marvel, Sony, HBO, Universal, and Netflix are all skipping San Diego Comic-Con 2023. The event schedule for San Diego Comic-Con 2023 is looking grim. After reports that Marvel is skipping its Hall H presentation at the nerdiest entertainment event of the year, we're also hearing about more cancellations for the annual celebration. According to reports, Marvel, Sony, HBO, Universal, and Netflix will skip SDCC in 2023. The likely reason for the cancellation stems from the ongoing strike across film and television industry. SAG-AFTRA and AMTPP have until June 30th to come to agreeable terms. If the deadline expires, blah, 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 blah. You basically already kind of know that. Due to Marvel's cancellation, the attendees of the con won't be able to enjoy previews of upcoming content from the Monolith Company, including stuff like Marvel's Loki Season 2, Ahsoka, The Haunted Mansion. As for HBO, the network could have previewed True Detective Season 4, House of the Dragon Season 2, which is in production. Sony has Gran Turismo, Kraven the Hunter, while Universal has Last Voyage of the Demeter, Strays, The Exorcist. As for Netflix, the streaming held a robust Kudum event last weekend in Brazil, previewing several upcoming films and television series. Warner Brothers is taking a, quote, wait-and-see approach to STC 2023. The studio is licking its wounds from The Flash's underperformance at the box office and still needs to crank the PR machine for Blue Beetle and Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. If the studio decides to attend, their content would be minimal, with only a handful of films and upcoming Max content to share with fans. Paramount Picture plans to hold a panel for TMNT Mutant Mayhem, but Paramount Plus is not confirming a presentation for its slate of Star Trek shows. NBC will attend if actors don't join the writer's strike, but Peacock is not obligated to follow suit. Amazon will attend the show to bring new material for The Wheel of Time Season 2, The Boys, Gen V, but that's little to plan your schedule around. Quote, with regard to the strike and its possible effects on Comic-Con, we tend to refrain from speculation or forecasting. I will say our hope is for a speedy resolution that will prove beneficial to all parties and will allow everyone to continue the work they love. Until then, we continue to diligently work on our summer event in the hopes of making it as fun, educational, and celebratory as in years past. Comic-Con spokesperson David Glasner told Variety when asked to comment on the situation. And yeah, this is pretty fucked up, guys. I mean, Comic-Con is one of those events where you expect to see new trailers, presentations. There's always some kind of a cheeky thing happening in Hall H. Like I remember when Tom Hiddleston crashed a panel. You know, you have all the big Marvel stars out there, or it's a big DC event or something. This sounds like, if you like turtles, cool.
It's gonna be a ghost. Well, so who is not attending, and then that'll tell us who could be.
Marvel's not there. DC's not there. Actually, no. Warner Brothers is wait and see.
I was gonna say Warner Brothers is probably gonna be there. They're gonna need to be there for Aquaman.
Yeah, which they might show off a new trailer, my guess, but Jason probably won't show up, or if they do, they're gonna have to pay him an assload of money.
The movie's like $250 million, and it's a year and a half behind schedule. Or
Yeah,
it's almost 2 years behind schedule. They have to release it because Flash did so poorly, but Aquaman 1 made over $1 billion.
Yeah, which they need this to be a hit. I mean, I'm actually really surprised The Flash underperformed because I thought it was fun. I had a really good time during it.
As of this recording, I'm seeing it later today.
Yeah, like I had fun with it. Are there problems with it? Yeah, sure. Keaton's the best part.
There's problems with every superhero movie lately.
Yeah, like that's the thing. Like I still haven't seen Guardians 3, and I hear it's the best. But I think
I would say it's Guardians 2 I like the most.
Okay.
This is about as good as 1. There are issues with it feeling like it's a series of random scenes that are just cut together. It doesn't have the same flow as the first two, but it has the same heart.
Yeah, like I think the superhero movie I've enjoyed the most this year would probably be Spider-Man, but I want to see it again just to make a little bit more sense in my head. Yeah, and honestly, the most fun I've had this year at the theater, Transformers, but that's kind of a gimme. I don't know, Alex, what the hell's come out this year that really wowed you and I both?
Well, I remember I missed so much because of my transportation issues, and I just started catching up.
Maybe John Wick, maybe Sisu?
Sisu. Well, are we talking like just
movie? Yeah, like what has really wowed you this year?
Oh, it's John Wick.
Yeah, John Wick for sure. Then
John Wick, spectacle wise. Good question. Give me 1 second, because
Renfield was fine, good. No one saw it, but it was good.
There was a lot of fun movies, but I don't think.
I think Cocaine Bear was overhyped. It was fine.
It was fun. Like, you know what I mean? There's a lot of these fun movies, but there's not. I'm looking. 2023 films, American films. We don't count Canadian films. Mario.
Yeah. Okay, so there's one.
But it wasn't a good movie. It was
Yeah.
fun. It would like, as far as like really good.
It was a good kids movie, and that's all we can say.
Yeah, like Guardians is the second highest grossing film of the year in America.
Wow.
And nobody's talking about it. Spider-Man is number 3, and that's only been in theaters a couple weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Mario, Little Mermaid. I'm looking at top grossing. Ant-Man was not a very good movie.
I liked it, but it's on second rewatch. It's not. I'm not liking it as much as I did the first time.
It's Pandemic the movie with like reduced cast, really, really, really obvious green screen everything.
Mm-hmm.
I missed Fast X in theaters, Creed 3, Transformers, Scream 6. That's the top 10.
Scream 6 maybe for me.
Very quickly looking through anything else that came out that was like high end that people watched. Like Knock at the Cabin came and went.
I forgot about that.
Magic Mike was like really shit compared to Magic Mike 1 and 2.
Yep, it was a blip, and we reviewed that on the show about a month ago.
And especially when it came out that it was originally supposed to be a
Max movie.
Yeah, a Max movie, and they just pumped a little bit extra money into it at the very end. Ant-Man, Cocaine Bear, Creed 3, again, came and went. Scream 65 came and went. It was entertaining, but it came and went. Then you've got John Wick. Like I'm going from January onward. John Wick's the biggest one. Dungeons and Dragons really wowed me, but it didn't do well.
Yeah, which again, we talked about that on the show a couple of weeks ago. Like, yeah, this year's had some good movies, but they're out of your consciousness in like a couple of days after you see them.
I would say the biggest like water cooler movie was probably John Wick 4.
Yeah, I would say for me it would be Mario, John Wick 4, because even Transformers isn't doing that well. Like it's box office drop dramatically.
It's good for Transformers, but there's a lot of stupid moments in it. It's entertaining, but it's just as dumb as it's not just as dumb as the others. It's better than that, but not by much.
It's the second best movie in that franchise. I would say it goes Beasts, 2007, and then the list just dies from there.
Elemental tanked.
Yep.
No Hard Feelings just came out, and that one looks bad. It looks like a comedy from like 15 years ago that wasn't a good one.
Yeah, that's sort of like that Ben Stiller-ish kind of writing.
Yeah, like The Hangover.
Yeah,
which I was so sick of after the first one. I was so sick of that shit. And then coming up the rest of the year, like very quickly,
Strays,
Mission Impossible.
Yep,
that's going to make Paramount money.
Yep.
Oppenheimer is going to be it's a Chris Nolan one, and it looks to be at least cohesive, where the audio doesn't sound like it's going to be blasting your brain. Barbie.
I'm weirdly curious to see that.
That's what I've been trying to be like. Hey, Mike, do you want to come to Waterloo and watch that with me in the new theater?
Yeah, actually,
maybe we'll do that. Haunted Mansion from Walt Disney, which is
I've seen no advertising for that, at all.
Because to me, it looks like a Disney Plus movie they put in theaters. It's got Owen Wilson, Tiffany Haddish, which I won't see because I don't like her. Danny DeVito, Rosario Dawson, Jamie Lee Curtis. It doesn't look better than the
Eddie Murphy one,
which was already bad. Like, I don't get it. Turtles. That's the other one that we can go see in theaters together.
I'd see that. Yeah.
The Meg 2, which will be fun but stupid. Gran Turismo. It looks offensive. Have you seen all the advertising?
It looks so dumb.
All the advertising is, you think you're going to get some guy who plays video games in his mom's basement to be a race car driver? Well, guess what? We just did.
Yeah, it's so dumb.
Based on a true story. I'll tell you right now, the dialogue in that is not even remotely close to what anybody actually talks like.
Yeah, it's I don't know. Like that's the
It-
type
it-
of movie I'll
it
wait
looks-
for VOD.
It looks really bad, but I might see it in theaters if I've got a free pass or something for it. Last Voyage of the Demeter, that's the one with vampires on the boat.
Yeah.
And again, that's not going to do numbers. We already know
No.
that. Blue Beetle might do numbers in Latin America, but it looks like a Disney Plus movie that's being put
I
in
think
theaters.
that
Even though-
movie
even
will
though-
survive and die on word of mouth.
Well, here's the thing. Yes, it looks like a Disney Plus movie, but it is Warner Brothers.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, can it be worse than what Warner Brothers has been putting out lately? Probably not. But again, it looks like it should be a Disney Plus or Max show or movie. Like it doesn't look like what about it is. And I'll mention something that that James Gunn mentioned, and this is a project that was in production way before him, and they've been playing up, the Latin American angle with how representation with directors and actors. I'm like, that's great. But he mentioned something in an interview recently, and I think I sent it to you guys, where he was asked, are there too many superhero movies? And his first reaction immediately was yes. And then he backpedaled and said, and tried to explain why, because you could see his old independent / trauma attitude came out immediately. Yes, fuck yes. But then he backpedaled and went, well, there's not too many. There's too many generic. He goes, they're it's like he goes, companies have looked and said, hey, that's a comic book character. We got to release a movie. Why does every character need a movie? And why does every character have to have the same generic story? And that's one thing he said. This to me looks like this is same generic story, Latin American family.
Yeah, it's Latin American Iron Man, even though he doesn't build the suit, he gets it and he figures it out.
It's their Ant-Man. Like it's some random dude has a suit that's stolen and he gets the powers. Only difference is it's his family's in on it.
Yeah, like I remember, see, and that's the thing though, like with me and Blue Beetle, I remember when Blue Beetle was Ted Kord. Ted Kord was a guy who wore a costume who was really smart and could do things. I don't remember it being a mystical thing, but then again, my DC knowledge has always been really weak, so I'm probably wrong. But
well, yeah, and I'm not trying to be offensive or anything. Reading it's just it looks so generic.
Yeah,
$120 million budget, and I'm like, where's that budget going?
Like I like one of the things that I want to know, if you're going to justify that, you're going to give arguably a C-list hero his own movie. Who's his villain? It's not fucking Darkseid. It's not any of the Batman rogues gallery. It's not, the friggin' Joker, Bizarro, or Metallo, or anything like that. I don't know who's the bad guy.
Based on the cast listing, it's Carapax the Indestructible Man.
Who the hell is that?
It's listed as one of his villains.
Hey, if I had my DC encyclopedia, maybe I could look that up, but that's not selling me.
You know what's bad? When you click on the link for Carapax and it brings you to a list of DC random villains.
Wow.
It's not
a
even
mainliner.
He's not even somebody who has his own entry in Wikipedia.
That sucks. And that reeks to me of, this should have stayed a Max movie. If you're going to have a villain, like at least in The Flash, and I can't say too much without spoiling it for you, the villain makes sense. And they've showed it in the trailer that it's General Zod. Cool, because that's time travel. General Zod is one of Superman's big bads. He's deserving. Darkseid from Justice League.
He has his own Wikipedia entry.
Yeah, and he's been on Smallville. He's been in the cartoons. He was in the movies. That makes sense to me. Like
Neil Before Zod has been a meme for 40 years.
Yeah, like if you're going to give me a big movie, I mean, even with let's say they revisited a lower tier DC character. Let's say they redid, I don't know, the Constantine movie, because there was supposed to be a sequel and then it died.
There's talk that might still happen now that
I hope so.
Now that
Keanu Reeves is super hot.
See, well, Keanu Reeves is super hot, and he's been asking for it, and it's like he's one of the few movie stars left that actually makes money.
Yeah, like him, Tom Cruise.
We ain't getting a Tom Cruise superhero movie unless it's about fucking Xenu and his. Unless they're making Battlefield Earth 2.
I don't know, man. Don't give them ideas. Yeah, like I don't know. Like it sucks that Comic-Con has happens during a writer strike, and I get it. Writers should absolutely be compensated. I mean, I'm a writer now, not for film and television yet. But it just seems to be like this year is going to suck. I mean, although that being said, this would be a great year to meet artists, to meet cosplayers, to go to interesting panels. You'll probably have a good, less cluttered experience because they're going to have to bring in people from the comics industry, from video games even.
And you're probably going to see, like, they list who's not going.
Yeah.
What they didn't list is who is going. You're going to see people from animation houses.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you're going to see people from, like, you know how hot the Atlanta animation scene is, right? Like, Georgia has a lot of those adult or
Swims.
like, Adult Swim kind of stuff. You'll see people from there that, you know, even though it's Warner's not going, like Warner as Warner Pictures. Doesn't say anything about Warner Animation not going. Right? Because animation is considered part of it. I believe even animation writers are not part of the same guild. So that's why animation has not been halted.
Yeah, so you could see a lot of stuff there. Now, to speak about animation, we weren't really going to talk about this story, and I'm totally going to spring this on Alex. But to talk about what happened with Star Trek Prodigy Season 2, to speak about animation that's going through some trouble right now. And I guess this could almost be a part of a larger conversation with what's going on with streamers right now. Christ almighty, what the hell's going on?
It's what's going on with Disney and Paramount. The talks are they have less than $200 million of liquid assets for each company.
Like, Jesus, man.
Because of their movies. Their movies and stream. Well, Disney's streaming platform has done okay. They've overspent on not the streaming platform, their movies. Disney has not had a hit, and we're talking a hit where they've made back more than $100 million on an investment since before the pandemic. They've had 3 or 4 Pixar movies make less than half of their production budget back.
Yeah, so that's Lightyear, Elemental, Soul, Onward, yeah. Which are all fucking amazing, fun movies in their own rights.
And that other one they tried to premiere on Disney Plus that made like $10 million.
Oh, I know the one you mean, but I can't. Soul, right?
No, before that one.
Not Turning Red, because that was in theaters for like a weekend.
And that one failed. So it's 5 movies that they've had fail.
Yeah.
They've had, and that's from the Pixar end. That's not counting the Disney end that isn't making money either.
Was that the Raya and the Last Dragon? Is that the one you mean?
That's a regular Disney movie.
Oh,
no, there was another Pixar movie.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of it, but yeah, I know which one you mean. Yeah.
So they've had, of their animation features, they've had between 5 and 10 movies in the last 4 years horribly bomb and not make their money back, not even through streaming. And they're not as keen on releasing home videos anymore. It's not part of their strategy. So they're not really making money off the home video market either. And then you've got the fact that people are getting tired of Marvel movies being like, it's too much, too many connective tissue, too much of this. And you're running out of steam with the stories you can tell with them. And then on Paramount side, they've had issues getting a lot of their shows produced. Their biggest show and the biggest franchise, Yellowstone, had all the actors basically walk off. And that's why they're ending the show, because they can't get Kevin Costner to make another season. Because he just doesn't want to. So you have that mixed with not a lot of people getting Paramount Plus because it's fractured in other countries. Like in Canada, you don't get Star Trek with it. And Star Trek is like 50% of their programming on Paramount Plus. So I didn't renew my subscription. I had a subscription for a year and then went, well, what do you have coming out? You got like 3 or 4 shows? That's it for the whole year? Well, then why should I subscribe for a year? Why should I get a yearly package? And the answer is you probably shouldn't.
I think you get Star Trek on Paramount Plus in Canada.
You absolutely do not.
Huh. I thought I remembered seeing that.
Crave owns Star Trek in Canada.
Oh.
So we do not get any of the new shows at all. They have slowly been acquiring the rights to classic Trek up through the next generation.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. Yeah.
But they do not have the rights to any of their shows in current production.
Oh, okay.
So nothing from Discovery onward is on there.
Okay, yeah. So that's what I remember seeing is all the classic stuff, but none of the new stuff. Yeah, that's kind of horseshit.
And that's like 50% of their programming.
Yeah.
So we just don't get it. And then they want to charge us the same amount of money as it is in the States. And it's like, no. So it's no wonder that they're struggling. And maybe, they should have thought about the idea that people went streaming to avoid cable. And now with every company wanting their own streaming service, it's can't
basically
afford
cable.
It.
Yeah.
Yes. People could afford between 1 and 3 services. And most people for years went with now in the States you might have had Hulu. Okay, so let's take that into account. But worldwide, people had Netflix as number 1.
Yep.
And most people got Amazon Prime as number 2 because they already got it as part of their Prime shipping package.
Yep.
And then if you were going for a third, most people went with either Hulu in the States,
yep,
or they went with HBO.
Yep.
Or your third ended up being Disney once Disney launched.
Yep, that makes sense.
Nobody wants Peacock. Nobody wants to pay for Peacock.
I don't know a single person in our friend group internationally who has Peacock. I know a few people who have Paramount, but not many. I'm one of them.
And that's because they just don't have service in any country outside of America. And it's like 70% of Universal's programming that was supposed to go on there has been in production hell. They were supposed to launch 2.5 years ago with a Battlestar Galactica sequel show or like reboot. And the pilot got scrapped 2 years after it was supposed to come out. They just never talked about it. Like they're hurting, and there's like 2 Law and Order shows that haven't started on there. Like streaming is in a dire straits, and then Max has bungled a lot of their shit. So, like
David Zaslav
and Netflix has been kind of garbage, other than Stranger Things for like several years now. Mm-hmm. Prime is like the only one doing okay, and Apple's doing fantastic, and Prime has like a handful of shows like The Boys that do well.
Yep. Prime has good shows, but they're never water cooler level. Like Rings of Power had potential, but once it came and went, no one talked about it. The Reacher show's cool, but
Indestructible.
Okay,
like Invincible and Indestructible, like that show was water cooler for when it came out. The only problem is we've had to wait 1.5 years for more animation.
Yeah, and there's Man in High Castle.
Well, these are shows that ended years ago. Years ago, right? Like other than the Boys and maybe one of their cartoon shows, that's it. They've got Netflix. I have not watched. My dad watches my Netflix. He's been logged into my account for years. I have not watched a single thing other than Stranger Things on Netflix in 5 fucking years.
I watch occasionally older movies and older Star Treks just because I find the quality's better on Netflix.
Well, they're not on Netflix anymore. They pulled that and that, like
I was watching Star Trek Voyager yesterday.
They've pulled everything else onto Paramount Plus and to Crave. And that will be Voyager will be gone once the 5-year licensing deal is up, which could be anytime this year.
Yeah, but
Netflix is losing things left and right. So yeah, like you're right. Streaming's in a hard place because they need to realize that they have to deliver consistent shows.
Yeah.
for my $10 a month. Otherwise, we just won't.
Yeah, and with that, and like this original thing kind of came off with me talking about Star Trek Prodigy. Season 2's done. It's in post-production, but because of what's going on right now, that's going to be pulled from Paramount Plus next week. So episodes 1 to 20, gone. Now you can get episodes 1 to 10 on DVD right now, but if you want the other back half, you better start watching now. That is fucking destructive. Now, supposedly they are shopping it to other networks now.
But why when you have your own?
Exactly. Like, this is bad. Like, this is really bad and dumb, and I hate it. So there are tons of petitions out there. There's the hashtag like Save Star Trek Prodigy or something like that. I know Trek Culture on YouTube has like a bit of steam behind it to like talk about it. This is really friggin' dumb. I've even had people on my Facebook saying, well, now I'm not even going to start it because now it's never going to end.
So basically, the show, just to clarify what you said, season 2 is completed.
Yes, it is done in post.
They are not writing it off the way that other networks like Warner has done.
Yeah,
because this was part of the November 2021 budget. So they can't write it off because it's 2 years too late to do it as a write-off. Because of how animation works, right? You know, how far back you have to, or how far ahead you're scheduling. So this will get released. They just don't know where.
Yeah, like I'm hoping that one of the big conversation pieces I've seen pop up is maybe Netflix will grab it.
Well, probably because prior to Paramount Plus, it was Netflix had a Paramount deal.
Yeah, so
is it just gonna like, and that brings into question like Paramount Plus, are you just gonna not exist anymore? Like, are you all this money you dumped into it? Are you just not gonna exist? And actually, the talk has been rumors. And we don't like usually reporting rumors, but this has been heavily reported in like the industry magazines that Netflix has put a bid in to purchase Paramount entirely.
Which wouldn't surprise me. And why the hell not? Just go for it.
And at that point, Paramount Plus will just be folded into Netflix. And it would be like, you know, they would change the name of the production of it or whatever. Like Paramount Plus shows would just be called, I don't know. They probably would just keep Paramount as Paramount. It wouldn't be called, you wouldn't see Netflix on every movie in theaters. You would at the very end, but I don't think that they would change. Like, you wouldn't see Paramount proper changing its name to Netflix.
No, never going to happen. But yeah, so that's basically our little rant about Comic-Con and streaming. And then the next story, Alex, you follow this pretty closely, so we're going to have to break this down into a lot of things. So we're going to talk about the Nintendo Direct that happened last week, and there's a lot to get through here. So what do you want to cover?
Well, here we can mention it was a pretty good Direct. It
was very good.
It was the first general Direct, like full-size 40-minute show that they've done all year, which is surprising. 6 months they went by without doing one. And you know it's a bigger one when they have two people come out and be like, we're both presenting today in our very lame, you know, like there's no personality with how they present themselves. But we'll just sort of mention them off the cuff, and we can go into deeper detail afterwards. So the first thing they showed was the final, I think, leg of expansion stuff for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. There's 2 modes. There's like a tournament area thing, and then there's another, I guess, area to unlock that. The graphics look so bad to me, though. They still don't look like they fixed the graphics, but like it looks like really performant-wise. But you're gonna like it because you have that game right.
Oh yeah, love Scarlet.
Some of the bigger stuff that was announced was Detective Pikachu, the sequel, which I forgot. They announced that in 2019 that they were making a sequel.
Yeah,
and we didn't hear about it for 4 years. And now it's come out, and it still looks like a 3DS game. But it's fine. And the funny thing is, I can't, even though it's not him, I can't not hear Detective Pikachu in this game being Will Arnett. No, Will, it sounds like Will Arnett. And I'm like, if they make another movie, just have Will Arnett be it. And I mean, it's going to be fun and charming. We'll probably get a review copy. You said you'd want to probably check it out if we do. I liked the first one. That was actually the first Nintendo first-party title that I got for review once I started with TWIG, because that would have been 2018, I think, when the game came out for that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, cool. It looks like it's going to be fun. The biggest thing probably announced for me was Mario RPG got a full remake.
That surprised the hell out of me.
It's not a remake as in, it's not a reimagining. It's a remake as in, it looks to be following the same plot. They probably are adding some little things here and there, little secrets and stuff, but it's done in a modern Mario 3D style, just on the same like isometric view. looks to be playing almost identically the same. That's coming out in November. A lot of stuff in October and November. So if we get a review copy, I'll be checking that out because I've got some pretty hefty history with that series, and I can go into that obviously once we do a review of it. Pikmin 4 showed off a little more. They're showing that you can play stuff at nighttime for the first time ever, and there's glowing Pikmin and all this. I played the third game, the remastered one, for review. I had some fun with it. It's not really a game
it's not
for
my
me.
jam. Yeah.
Yeah, but I acknowledged when I played it, I'm like, I can get where the fun is coming from. It's not something I personally go out of my way for, but I do see why it has rabid fans, and I think they're going to like the fact that there's new game modes with this. There's another WarioWare game coming.
That looks fun.
Which is emphasizing motion controls, which I thought that the last couple already did, but sure. You know what you're getting into when it comes to WarioWare. There's, what else was there? They showed off a little more of Sonic Superstars, which shows that it's 4-player simultaneous couch co-op. We're going to skip anything that was like farming games. Persona 5 Tactica was confirmed for the Switch, as well as showing off some of the battle systems of it. It looks like Rabbids Kingdom Battle, but with Persona, so we're going to have a fun time. And it's fully voice acted. Looks like they brought back everybody from Royal. So I guess this is a sequel, I think, to Strikers.
Oh, okay.
Like, I think this is taking place farther down the timeline. So this will be the second sequel to Persona. What else was Splatoon having some game stuff, which we don't really cover.
I might jump back into Splatoon 3 to play the Battle Royale, but I haven't played that since like the second or third week after my review.
That's basically the announcement for some people that are fans here, but it's mostly that's the Japanese announcement because I don't know if you know this, but you know that Splatoon is the largest shooter game in Japan. Like Call of Duty isn't even a blip.
I can't say I'm totally surprised because they don't have the same military oorah culture over there.
Well, they also they play MMOs. They don't have, and they do esports, but they don't have a first-person shooter culture. They just never have.
Yeah, like they're more RTS and fighting games.
Yeah, no, like really, if you can go back and think, do you know of any Japanese developed first-person shooters?
Let me think about that.
And when I say that, I mean I'm literally saying ever.
Sin, maybe on the 64.
Nope.
I don't know then.
They've never had any. I'm being dead serious. They've never had any, and if they have, they may be indie. They've maybe never been a hit. The closest we've ever gotten is like dungeon crawlers or like Tokyo Ghostwire.
Okay,
but that's not a shooter. But you know what I mean? Like a gun shooter. That is just not something that's big in their country. But Splatoon is their biggest shooter / online game.
One thing that surprised me out of this Nintendo Direct, and I'm so happy.
I was gonna say, like, if you think back, if you go and you're like, hey Alex, no, what about the Conduit on the Wii? That wasn't developed in Japan. Remember those games, Conduit and Conduit 2? Like, and you're like, well, what about Metroid? It's not developed in Japan. Metroid Prime, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so it's not developed in Japan, and those aren't even as big of a hit there. So anyway, yes, go ahead.
Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon is getting ported to the Switch. About fucking time.
That's the 3DS
I had
game, right?
such a good, it was a 3DS game. I had such a good time with this game. That actually made me a fan of the Luigi's Mansion franchise. There's a Princess Peach game. That looks fucking cool.
Yeah, it says release sometime in 2024. It looks like she's playing a play on stage, and that's the
setup.
Yeah, we'll figure out. They didn't show a whole heck of a ton. We're skipping a lot of the online stuff. Batman Arkham Trilogy looks terrible.
That's going to be rough. Arkham Knight's going to run like shit. That'll have to be a cloud version. It'll have to be.
No, it's apparently they're putting like 4 gigs or something on the card, and you got to download like 40 gigs to get the rest of the games.
Oh my god.
And that's basically shrinking them to a quarter of the size.
That's going to look terrible.
Yeah, their games are going to run at like 480p. And like the first game could run, but it's also a like 12-year-old game.
Yeah, Arkham Asylum came out, I want to say 2010, maybe 11.
Yeah, exactly. It's like 13 years old.
And City,
it's still gonna play like shit.
and City has so many things going on in it. Like there's so many moving parts under the hood. I don't see how that's going to run on Switch hardware. Arkham Knight ran rough on my Xbox One back when.
And the Xbox One is like 3 times more powerful than the Switch, and that's the shittiest system of the last generation.
Yeah, like Arkham Knight even had trouble running on high-end PCs for a while. And it still does, as far as I know.
Yeah, because it wasn't optimized. Legend of Zelda showed off that they got 2 more amiibos coming to the holiday season. Some more booster core stuff for Wave 5 of Mario Kart 8.
Metal Gear Solid got officially kind of dated for the Switch.
And that's going to be another one where they probably don't give you a lot on the actual card.
Now, I really wish, because it's on the Switch, it was a fool's hope that we would have got the Twin Snakes, but we're not. But you are getting the classic NES games. You're getting the PlayStation version of Metal Gear Solid 1. You're getting Sons of Liberty.
Don't be surprised if Twin Snakes gets a full HD remake on its own.
I would pay so much money for that. I sold my copy years ago for like $200, and I was like, "Holy shit, really?" Because I bought it for 10.
Well, it was in bargain bins all over Canada at one point.
Oh yeah, like I was so happy that I got it. It's one of my best. It's probably my fondest memory of the Metal Gear series outside of Metal Gear Solid 3. I think it was called not Subsist. I can't remember what the super version of that game was called.
Oh, I know what you mean.
Yeah, the one with the red bar on it. Yeah.
Was it Substance or
Subsistence or some shit like that? No, that's Metal Gear 2. I can't remember whatever. Either way, it's awesome. And now that there's been leaks confirming Metal Gear Solid Volume 2, Metal Gear Solid 4 is going to get ported. Can you imagine trying to run that on the Switch? Good fucking luck. Good luck, man.
Yeah, I mean...
And try to run Metal Gear Solid 5 on the Switch.
Subsistence was the Metal Gear 3.
Okay, cool. Yeah, but like if Volume 2 comes out, let's say, all right, so this comes out on October 24th. My guess is it'll come out second quarter next year.
They can't get 4 and 5 to work. It can't happen.
No way. Maybe the demo, Ground Zeroes.
No.
Actually, you could maybe get Peace Walker to run.
You could get Peace Walker to run. Yeah. I mean, because that's Vita hardware, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you could get that to run. 4's not going to run.
No
4
way.
was a very intensive game for the it
PS3,
it almost didn't run on PS3.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no way it could have run on 360. So it is what it is. It was made very specifically for a specific type of hardware. Other stuff, Mario and Rabbids has new DLC coming. If you have the like gold edition or like the season's pass, you're going to get that. We can skip a bunch of the Dragon Quest Monsters, basically Pokemon.
That looks cool.
Coming in December. Pikmin 2 are getting an HD remaster together, and it's getting a physical release if you want to get that.
Star Ocean.
Yeah, Star Ocean is getting the HD 2D remake, which is the first time we've seen that done with an action-based battle system instead of turn-based. So I'll be keeping my eye on that, probably either checking it out for review or picking it up for myself for Christmas, because that's coming out in November. And then I guess the big one is probably Mario Wonder. It's not new Super Mario Brothers. It's Super Mario Bros. Wonder. So it's a new series.
Yeah, and
an evolution of the new Super Mario Brothers, but it is clearly different.
It looks so cool. Like, I love 2D Mario games. I'm not a 3D Mario gamer, but whenever the 2D stuff comes out, me and my wife Blair, we jump on this stuff like immediately because we have such a good time with it. It looks fun. I showed the trailer to Blair the other day. She's like, this looks a little harder than what I'm used to, but I think I'm still going to play it and still have a blast.
Nintendo has baby shit mode for most, as I call it, for almost all their games now. You know, assist mode or easy mode, where they're going to make it so like if you fall down a hole, like you'll be picked up by Lakitu or whatever it's called and dragged back.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll be dragged back. There's always an easy mode now with all of their games. Mm-hmm. Some people have complained about that. I don't have a complaint with that because you just don't have to turn it on if you don't want it. There's going to be ways around that. It's just how Nintendo works now internally.
But yeah, like it's gonna be it's a great year to be a Nintendo fan.
From what I've seen, it reminds me of like the 1930s Fleischer animation stuff. You know, like the old like black and white animation where they're like always bouncing.
Yeah.
Like Cuphead.
Mm-hmm.
It's like influenced by that. Like the world bounces and moves and stretches, and they're going to like a lot of classical animation principles. And the idea is you get a wonder flower, and the wonder flower can change not just Mario, but change like the world around it to make things shift and move differently and control differently, even going into like a negative world where you play in the shadows and yada yada. And then the new power up they're showing off is Mario can turn into an elephant,
which looks really fun and cute. So
when I saw him, I was like, the Jumbo Video elephant.
yes, I thought I was the only one.
I was like, where's my free popcorn, bitch?
But yeah, I mean, honestly, and a lot of this stuff is coming soon. Like almost there are very few things that are dated next year. So this is awesome.
The only thing that was like first party that was shown as coming next year,
Princess Peach thing
was Princess Peach, and that's it. I think everything else everything else had between August and November release.
Yeah, so my wallet's gonna hurt because if we don't get WarioWare, I'm probably gonna buy it because I really have a fun time with those games. I'm definitely gonna buy Mario RPG because you've already laid claim to it with, if I get this, you could have every Pokemon game forever.
Well, it's because you're like, well, I want to do all the Mario stuff and Pikachu, and I'm like, well, you can't have Mario RPG then.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and that's fine because that's a game. I've had it, I've owned it, but I never played it. I played it briefly at a friend's house in the 90s and liked it. This seems like, you know what? If I'm going to spend the money, I'm going to spend the time. This is my winter hiatus game.
Oh yeah. And it's not hard, and it looks to be moving faster a little bit too, because that game had slowdowns sometimes on the NES because it and like Chrono Trigger were right at the end of the console when they were trying to push as much as they could. So also, for anybody that's reviewing Nintendo products, that's like 4 first-party Nintendo titles in a 3-week span.
Yeah, so we are going to be busy here at TWIG when all this stuff comes out. But it's going to be cool, though.
So yeah, I would say it wasn't the best Nintendo showcase ever, but it's the best one that they had. It's the best Direct they've had since the pandemic started, I think.
Yeah, like this is definitely top 3 for me. I mean, for me,
this all but confirms that we're not seeing anything about hardware until January of next year, minimum.
Yeah, so I'm fine with that. It's less shit I have to buy, so I'm cool with that.
And we should mention a few things that weren't shown that people were surprised at. Nothing from Metroid Prime 4, which is telling me that game is now slated for next gen.
Probably.
It might be cross generation, or they might just flat out say we apologize, but we have now moved it to our newest platform hardware. Blah blah blah. So there's that. I'm trying to think, was there anything else people wanted to see that hasn't been shown but was talked about? I'm trying to think things that were announced for the Switch that haven't been shown, and I literally think it's just Prime 4 now. That was the only. And if people had seen Prime 4 on here, then they would have gone, okay, hardware isn't coming for at least a year. But the fact that we haven't seen this, I think most people are saying, okay, they're going to announce Prime 4. And when they announce Prime 4, the trailer at the end is probably going to show 2 different pieces of hardware. And that's it. That's it for the showcase. I mean, they had a few other things, online games and that, but nothing new specifically.
Yeah, there wasn't anything wow. Like, there's that Headbanger game. It looks kind of fun, but whatever.
Vampire Survivors is going to crawl on that system.
Yeah, very much so.
It's not graphically intense. It's the amount of sprites on screen.
So yeah, that's going to do it for this edition of the Nerd News, only on ThisWeekInGeek.net. So we're going to take a small break here on the show, and we're going to take we're going to commit some crime here, folks. We're going to plan a heist, and this is one of Alex's reviews. This is, what's this game called again?
What's this Crime Boss Rockay City.
All right, we'll be back, guys, right after this, only on ThisWeekInGeek.net.
Alex here with just a very quick review of Crime Boss Rockay City. Now, if you're wondering what that is, our friends over at 505 Games sent a review copy for the PlayStation platforms for this. Now, this is the game that you probably saw previews of what was it? Last summer, I think, probably at the Summer Game Fest, or at one of the not E3 showcases. This was the game that had the bazillion celebrities in it, and it was like, what the heck is this? Is this like a Grand Theft Auto style game? Is this a game similar to like Saints Row from the tone? It's the one that had Michael Madsen as the star. You have Chuck Norris in it, Kim Basinger, as well as like Danny Trejo, Michael Rooker, Vanilla Ice. It just a whole slew of 80s and 90s celebrity actors. And we didn't really see what the gameplay was initially. Well, I'm here to say it's not what you necessarily would think. It's a heist game. So it's a multiplayer heist game, which you can do with AI characters or have real players drop in to play with you. And the basic plot is you're going around and trying to sneak in, disabling like alarms and silencing alarms, disabling cameras. You're zip tying and tying up potential security guards and threats to you. And the goal is to do all this so that your crew can then come in, steal as much as they can, load up a car, and leave without being detected by the police. And if you shoot civilians or get noticed, everything reduces the haul, like the amount of money you're going to receive from each of the missions. And interestingly enough, to be honest, the game is pretty mediocre, but elevated significantly because of the scenario, like the storyline with all these famous actors. To be honest, without having the celebrities in it, this game would have probably come and gone as being a sort of generic, if not a slightly above average, multiplayer heist game. With the voice actors, and with the mocap, and with the people in it that are like all these celebrities, you take what would have been mediocre or very middle of the road and elevate it to something that is at least pulling your interest, because you're like, wow, this is different. How did they pull all these actors? Because you have Michael Madsen as sort of the main character, like the rise and fall you find out of that person. You have Kim Basinger in it, Danny Trejo, Danny Glover, Damien Portier. You have Michael Rooker, Vanilla Ice, and Chuck Norris. Chuck Norris is the quote-unquote bad guy, the antagonist, but he's the Sheriff Norris. And this is a game that it has its flaws. Some of the controls are a little wonky. The graphics is odd. It's like PS3 graphics, except for when you see the celebrities, where then it bumps up in quality a little bit to like early PS4. It is very interesting. It is worth playing, and it is, it's not like a full-priced retail game. There is going to be a physical copy coming later on this year. I can't recommend it for everybody. If you like heist games and you're interested in the celebrities, I think you'll have a decent enough time with it. But this is not the AAA game that I believe they were trying to present it as. It is an average heist first-person shooter perspective game, elevated because of the celebrity involved.
Go crazy?
Don't mind if I do!
Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria.
All right, we are back here on ThisWeekInGeek.net. I'm your host, Mike the Birdman. He's Alex, the producer, and it's time to take a look at the weird, the strange, the unusual things that have happened around the planet this past week. And we're going to start things off with a story from UPI.com. Convenience stores are selling gold bars in vending machines. Why? I couldn't tell you. All right, so the popularity of gold bars is surging at convenience stores around South Korea as the value appreciates amid strong inflationary pressure across the globe. G5 Retail confirmed Friday that sales of gold bar at its convenience stores had totaled 19 million in the past 9 months, ending in May. The gold bars dispensed through the vending machines were introduced last September at 5 of its stores. The machines offer 5 sizes, weighing 0.13 ounces to 1.3 ounces. Prices fluctuate daily in keeping with the international valuation for gold, according to G5 Retail, which operates more than 10,000 convenience stores all over South Korea. The popularity of gold bars at its stores has prompted the company to increase the number of outlets carrying them, 29 with plans to hit 50 by the end of the year. The most popular gold bar is the smallest, the 0.13 ounce one, which is currently priced around $225 at G5 Retail, representative told UPI News Korea. People in their 20s and 30s appear to be the main buyers, purchasing physical gold as an investment vehicle, especially in times such as these when its value is continuing to rise, he said. The gold price started to jump in March and amid Silicon Valley's banks collapse and with people moving gold as a safe haven. Niggling inflation and the SVB crisis seem to have caused more people to be interested in anti-inflationary assets such as gold. Inara University professor Lee In-hee said in a phone interview, but, quote, a gold bar purchase at a convenience store seems to be more like something done in fun rather than a means for serious investment. I believe the popularity of these gold bars is mainly due to its easy accessibility at convenience stores, no less, she said. That's something I never thought I'd see coming out of a vending machine.
Like, I mean, you hear in Japan about like weird things in vending machines, but I guess Korea's got them beat.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, it's so strange. And I don't get why people say, oh, I've got gold. And when the economy collapses, if I want something from you, I'm fucking taking it.
If the economy in the country collapses, you know what's more valuable than gold?
Muscle, ammo, and guns,
water, and weapons.
Yeah, exactly.
Two W's.
Yeah, like, fuck off here with this. And
food you can barter with a lot easier. You can find plentiful, but clean water and
medicine.
Weapons,
yep.
Clean water. Well, medicine comes next.
Yeah.
As long as you have water, you can survive long enough with your weapons to find food and medicine.
Yeah, like, it's insane. And honestly, I guess South Korea doesn't have a vast crime problem in certain regards, but if I know there's a vending machine with fucking gold in it,
that's why it made international news. It's not a big deal there. It's a big deal here.
Yeah, like, you're not going to put this in downtown Chicago or downtown, I don't know, Portland or some shit like this. Like, nah, this would not fly in North America. But I guess in South Korea, I guess it's cool. I guess the street crime just doesn't exist there for theft. Like, that's so weird. I mean, honestly, if I had $225 just to blow, maybe, but that's such a weird flex too. Hi, I bought a gold bar out of a vending machine.
But it's also South Korea. You know, remember Gangnam Style and all that? It was all about how bougie and how it's status symbol-y and how South Korea in the last 20 years has been going through a very 1980s Reaganomics, look at me generation.
Yeah, like, I see some stuff come up on Instagram that is weird.
Well, there's like the trends of trying to make themselves look more Caucasian because in their minds that makes them look richer.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not me paraphrasing. That's just literally what's been happening. And it's like, ooh, this just seems to add to that. But it's like vending machines in convenience stores
selling gold. Yeah, it's weird. I mean, like, one of the weird things that I've noticed over here, and I watch a lot of scam bait channels. Like, I watch Trilogy Media, Scammer Payback, Kit Boga, and all these things. And I think of all the Bitcoin vending machines we see, even in Kitchener-Waterloo, Guelph, there are so many of these things.
It's because we got one of the what are they called? Credit unions here in Waterloo region was the first in Canada to get like a Bitcoin ATM.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, I don't know if anybody used it. I really don't. Like it seems like it was there to get investors, but not actual people.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, man. It's weird.
Yeah, it's bloody strange. Just the fact that you're seeing like Bitcoin ATMs now, gold bar ATMs. Like, I'm kind of surprised. I guess at the height of the cryptocurrency craze, I'm actually really surprised we never saw. What's the other cryptocurrency that was worth a lot? Ethereum. Yeah, I'm actually really surprised we didn't
It's
see
because
that.
Bitcoin was backed by a few banks, actual
Yeah.
banks, and we're testing it. And Bitcoin in some of the third world developing countries, Bitcoin became the de facto currency because their own currency was more volatile. And that actually was kind of neat. That it can work for a developing nation where their own currency is not good.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't work for it doesn't work for anything but crime in the first world.
Yeah, like again, when I talk about all those like kind of scam channels, you would be surprised how much money gets laundered. There was one guy, he's a very famous YouTuber. His name is Jim Browning, and the amount of cryptocurrency scams he has stopped, but the ones that do get through, these call centers in India and all these other countries, just all the money that gets lost.
It's people say it's Russia. It's most of the scams, even if like they might be owned by Russian people or other international people in China, and that 90% of it is run through call centers in Pakistan.
Yeah, it's Pakistan and India because the infrastructure is there. Like they can support it, and they use like certain software programs to make these call centers.
Yeah.
And
they're not like overly advanced either. A lot of them are using fucking like Windows
freeware.
XP.
Yeah, like it's a lot of freeware stuff, and now certain companies that develop the call software are starting to fight back. Like there's one program you should never install. It's called AnyDesk, which allows someone to remote access your computer. Which the company behind that is now, whenever they find a scam center using it, they work with some of these YouTubers and they nuke their entire account and cut off the entire call center, which is great, which is good. But it's kind of terrifying that freeware is being weaponized at this because it preys on little old ladies, people who don't know any better.
Yeah, it affects the ignorant, but more so than anything, it seems to affect senior citizens.
Yeah, like I can only imagine if my grandparents were still alive, what would have happened.
They would have been hit with the fake Canada Revenue Agency calls because that was the big one going around. And because let's be honest, if they got the call from somebody pretending to be their grandson who got to jail and needs bail money, your grandparents would have been like, "All right, see ya, you deal with it."
They would love me to rot.
They wouldn't. They would have been like, "Oh, you need some moral support. You need this. You need some. Or you need money. No, you're doing your time." Like, they wouldn't have bailed you out. But if it was the tax man calling, that's how they get the old people when they're like, they say things like, "If you don't give us this information to verify you, we may be withholding your social security checks." That's how they get the old people.
There was one terrifying incident that I read about. We were going to cover it, but we took a week off for a review show just because there wasn't a lot happening that week. But long story short of it, someone was using deep fake technology for voice to replicate the sound of someone's granddaughter. And they were using it in a ransom scheme. Like the granddaughter was fine, but they had a recording and they're like, "Help, grandma, I'm in trouble." And I think the case had a happy ending, but it almost didn't.
Yeah.
But yeah, like if you type into Google AI deep fake kidnapping, there's a story there. So
and most local police departments don't have the resources to deal with it. They're not going to try to brush you off, but they just don't know what to do. Like, unless you're in like Toronto or Montreal in Canada, there isn't in Vancouver, there isn't a dedicated cyber crimes division. Like, and you may not know, but like if you get a call like that, you should probably just call the RCMP.
Yeah, like honestly, yeah, just call the feds.
Like call the feds, call the FBI, call whatever your local, like whatever your country's federal division is. Like, give them a ring. You may have to be on the phone for a little bit. Like, all they could tell you is no, that doesn't seem right. But if you feel like you're being scammed, pretty much every federal agency in like first world countries have a division that's dedicated to cybercrime, specifically targeting elderly people. So it's just people don't think to call them. So I guess don't give your money away.
Yeah, pretty much. All right, so we're going to move on to our next story. And this one, we live in such interesting times. So this is according to TheVerge.com and has been reported by several major outlets. And there was even some follow-up on TMZ the other day. Mark Zuckerberg is ready to fight Elon Musk in a cage mask, a tech billionaire brawl for the ages that needs to happen. Here we go. After Elon Musk recently tweeted that he would be up for a cage fight, his words, with Zuckerberg, the Meta CEO shot back by posting a screenshot of Musk's tweet with the caption, "Send me location." I've confirmed that Zuckerberg's post on Instagram is in fact not a joke, which means the ball is now in Musk's court. This quote story speaks for itself, the Meta spokesperson Iska Sark told me. After the story was published, Musk responded with 2 words, Vegas Octagon. Then he tweeted, "I have this great move I call the walrus, where I just lie on top of my opponent and do nothing." The backstory here. Since I recently reported more details about Meta's forthcoming Twitter competitor, Musk has been taunting Zuckerberg on Twitter with zingers like Zuck my and then a little emoji thing. During an internal all-hands-on-deck meeting at Meta last week, Chief Product Officer Chris Cox told employees the company thinks creators want a version of Twitter that is sanely run. Drawing cheers. I've always thought that Twitter should have 1 billion people using it, Zuckerberg said during a recent podcast interview with Lex Friedman. In the arms of tech billionaire's CEO, literal fighting, Musk versus Zuckerberg would be as good as it gets. Musk, 51, has the upper hand on Zuckerberg in terms of sheer physical size, but he has talked about being in real hardcore street fights when he was growing up in South Africa. Meanwhile, Zuckerberg, 39, is an aspirational MMA fighter.
Wait. You mean the billionaire whose parents owned diamond mines and had private security everywhere? He's saying he got into fights as a kid?
Yep, and he needs security guards to go to the bathroom.
He is
I'm
so
not kidding.
I know. He's so full of shit.
Oh, yeah.
If he's such a tough guy, why can't he go to the bathroom at work by himself?
Yep. So meanwhile, Zuckerberg, who is an aspiring MMA fighter, has already been winning jiu-jitsu tournaments. He's also claimed to have recently competed the grueling Murph Challenge workout in just under 40 minutes. Regardless who would win, I think we can all agree that a Musk versus Zuckerberg match would be one of the most entertaining fights of all time. It needs to happen. Don't back down, Musk. So follow up to this, Dana White from the UFC has been texting and talking to Elon and Zuckerberg. There's a possibility this could really happen. Now, supposedly, any money that is put on the line for this would be donated to charity. So that's a huge win. So Alex, you follow more combat sports than me, obviously.
They wouldn't get licensed. Zuckerberg would. Elon Musk is not in physical enough shape to get licensed to fight.
Let's say it does happen. Let's just
okay.
Speculate here. Who is the undercard? The Paul brothers, maybe?
Yeah, they'd get one of the Paul brothers, or now it's the same. Okay, one company now owns UFC and WWE. Would this be a super card where they have a wrestling match beforehand, or would they do like a Brock Lesnar professional fight?
I don't know, because now that you throw WWE into that, damn, this gets weird.
Like if it's a cage fight like that, I mean, they could do that. Do you get Tyson to do one of his old people fights?
Yeah,
he has a league that he opened up, Legends Only Fighting, and he only did one fight so far. It was him and boxing fight with Roy Jones Jr., I think.
Mm-hmm.
And then they didn't do another one. There was supposed to be an Evander Holyfield one, but I think Evander pulled out. But like you either have to get one of the Paul brothers who is already working for WWE as a wrestler,
mm-hmm.
or you get his brother who's doing the boxing matches. He's got a boxing match with a former UFC fighter this summer, and it's probably going to do like 1 million pay-per-view buys.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's got to be a freak show fight like that.
Yeah, I would honestly, just to see Zuck beat the fuck out of Musk, I would pay for that.
No, you got if you're gonna do like another freak show, like ridiculous, doesn't make any sense kind of fights.
Yeah,
you've got to pick somebody like Jeff Dunham, the the ventriloquist, and then have him fight Carrot Top because Carrot Top is like in crazy good shape.
Oh yeah,
he looks like a terrifying roided up Krusty the Clown. And just have him come in with like overly large boxing glove props, and then Dunham fights, but he fights
as
using,
the puppet,
using the puppet.
Oh my god, that would be amazing. And then somebody has to pipe in cartoon sound effects during the fight while it's being called in real time.
No, Dunham does it. He's just throwing his voice across the room.
Oh my god, that would be so entertainingly and so screwed up. Yeah, I mean,
no, it'd just be Battle of the Comedians. It'd be Carrot Top versus Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan comes in to interview Carrot Top into the ring, and they're like, "Who's your opponent?" And he's like, "I choose you." And Rogan just turns into a Ninja Turtle and beats the fuck out of him.
Honestly, that would actually, maybe you're on to something. If it was Rogan versus someone in his
versus
orbit,
Carrot Top.
Versus, there we go.
The only other roided up dude that's in comedy.
There we go. All right,
because we know it ain't going to be Howie Mandel. He's going to get like 3 inches away from somebody and freak out because of the germs.
Oh boy. All right, so we have one final story today, and Alex picked this one, and I gotta say it's actually kind of a good one. So according to today.com, Maury Povich to launch at-home paternity test, fittingly called The Results Are In. Maury Povich is releasing a new at-home paternity test company called The Results Are In. The former Maury host, 84, is partnering with the DNA Diagnostic Center.
84?
I know. He looks really good for his age.
I thought he'd be early 70s. I guess he was old even back then.
Yeah, he just has that mature look to him.
I thought he was in his 50s in the late 90s. Mm-hmm. I guess he was already in his late 60s.
Yeah, he's old. So, according to this, the former Maury host, 84, is partnering with the DNA Diagnostic Center, the same DNA testing lab that his daytime talk show relied on to settle guests' paternity disputes, according to the company press release. During those often explosive segments of the show, Povich would utter his famous catchphrase, "The results are in," before revealing the child's paternity.
You are not the father. And then Deshaun goes crazy and starts flipping chairs because it was always like one dude that would go nuts, and then there'd be like, or even better, it's like, "You're not the father," and then the woman goes crazy.
Yeah, like it was entertaining, exploitive TV, and that was the 90s. So the company goes on to say in its release, the new paternity testing test aims to provide families with, quote, affordable, accurate, and reliable paternity testing from the comfort of their homes. The release explains that the test will allow users to collect and submit their own DNA samples without the need for assistance from a medical professional. It is guaranteed the tests would be available in up to 2 days and would be 99.9% accurate. Quote, "I've seen firsthand how DNA testing can change lives and bring families together," Povich said in a statement. With, quote, "The results are in, we're making it easier and more affordable than ever for people to get the answers they need." Dr. John Torres, senior medical correspondent for NBC News, told Today.com that at-home paternity tests are, quote, "typically very reliable." Torres explained that that there are 2 types of tests, blood tests and DNA tests, which rely on cheek swabs. Provided the sample is obtained correctly and sent to a, quote, "legitimate lab, the results should be accurate," said Torres, who added that he is unfamiliar with the DNA Diagnostic Center. Torres said there are certain things to keep in mind when it comes to at-home paternity tests. The accuracy is high and the implications are too. He said, noting the test samples can be submitted without a person's permission, which might result in legal complications. So obviously, if you're doing any of these at-home paternity tests, be on the level with somebody.
Well, you could be sued easily. I can see so many problems with this because traditionally you had to be served with paper. If you didn't want to submit, you had to be served with a court order for a test.
Yeah. So, like, I can see this being a good thing in a lot of ways.
This is going to be disastrous when it comes to think about who's going to order it. It's going to be people that are already slightly unhinged when they're ordering a home paternity test.
I'm choosing to look at it from a more optimistic point of view. I could see this potentially, hopefully avoiding big problems. But if it's anybody that would appear on Maury's show, then
somebody's going to be shot within the first month of this being available.
I hope not. I really hope not. Like,
you hope not, but it's going to happen because guess what? They're not going to be on camera where they're patted down for weapons.
Yeah, I'm hoping it is a smooth process. I'm hoping that anybody who chooses to use this to obtain, if you want answers, there are other ways to do it. But if this is the more affordable option that'll provide people with more answers more quickly and accurately, then yeah, sure, great. I mean, would this have happened in my case? Because I didn't know who my father was, and it took me 40 years to figure it out.
But this requires somebody submitting their DNA. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like it's going to be a lot of, can we have this very difficult conversation? Will you allow, can we work together to get this to happen? And you're probably right, Alex. Like there's going to be situations that are going to end explosively here.
I'm not trying to judge people. Everybody lives their own lives differently. We all have our own experiences.
It's the situation.
I'm saying a situation where you think a secret home paternity test is the way to go is going to be explosively bad in one party or more involved. Because if 100%. If you don't know who the father is and there could be like 5 different suitors, you think that out of the 5 different suitors that could have been the father, you think that at least one of them is going to be very angry that you're stealing their, because let's be honest, most of the time, if you have that many people that could be the father, they're not willing to give up their DNA.
Yeah.
So you're going to steal their DNA, get a paternity test, and then have the legal ramifications of taking them to court because you want alimony?
Yeah. Like I'm really hoping that this, I'm very naively hoping that cooler heads prevail.
This is very different than I want my DNA tested because I don't know what my family is. Do I have any brothers or sisters, or I'm adopted, is very different than I want my child support. I'm going to steal my old boyfriend's DNA and then get this and then take this to court and say, now you owe me money.
Yeah. Like
that's the Maury audience.
Yeah.
So I don't know how well this is going to go. I'm only saying it because that's what Maury has cultivated.
Yeah, that's true. Just because, like, any case involving multiple fathers and trying to figure it out, it's explosive to begin with, and you're just adding you're adding a match to that situation.
I was going to say, be like, bitch, I'm gonna test you. I don't know if you're the mother of my child. Be like, I don't think you know how this works.
Yeah. Like I'm hoping at the end of the day that this does give some people some good answers. I'm hoping, but I also understand exactly what you're saying, because this could lead to some very bad
paternity tests. Like they're there 99% of the time because of infidelity. Why?
Yeah.
The reason you need a paternity test is because you believe that the person was unfaithful, or you want to prove that somebody you're not in a relationship with currently is the father to get money. It's very different than the DNA test where you're figuring out your family history, your lineage, your what you might be like allergic to, and then perhaps putting it on Ancestry to see if you can find other siblings from somewhere else because you don't know your history. That is very different. Like his show, it's very targeted, very abrasive. So we'll see how it goes. I just thought it's crazy. I thought it's crazy that this got approved.
Yeah, and the fact that they're using the Maury Povich brand on it. Yeah, that's a little weird.
That would be like that would be like going and getting like a home video set, like the Jerry Springer home therapy set. Like, you know what I mean? Like
yeah, it's just weird enough, but somebody would buy it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's going to do it for this edition of The Weird News. We covered gold bars, Elon fighting the Zuck, and the results are in. So we'll be back, guys, next August with more weird news. But in the meantime, we have one more review. We're going to follow the adventures of the Venture Brothers. And this is my review of the complete series right here on ThisWeekInGeek.net. We'll be back right after this.
Come on, they have one female servicing a large group of males. That implies a species that lays eggs.
Oh my god, you're crazy! They are so obviously mammals!
Please, she'd be an estrus 24/7 if she didn't lay eggs.
Smurfs don't lay eggs! I won't tell you this again. Papa Smurf has a f***ing beard! They're mammals!
Hey guys, this is Mike the Birdman here. I'm here to talk about something really special we got for review from Warner Brothers Discovery, Home Entertainment, and Adult Swim. I'm talking about The Venture Brothers, the complete series on DVD. This is all 82 episodes, all previously released special features, but it's on DVD, so let's just kind of get that right out of the way. This series has been available on Blu-ray, some of the later seasons, but I don't think the first two. This also doesn't include the upcoming movie that I think is coming out in July, The Radiant Heart of the Baboon or something like that. So this is a show that has been going on for like 20 years. It's one of those things I remember watching up in Canada. It was on our Teletoon, I seem to remember. And I always thought it was like this weird sort of like pseudo Johnny Quest meets G.I. Joe with like the weird lifeblood of Scooby-Doo. Utterly surreal and so strange, but weirdly charming at the same time. And it's a show that I'm kind of glad that I have in one complete place if I want to watch it, especially with things disappearing from streaming services these days. Physical media is the way to go, and I was a guy who's been a big proponent of digital for a long time, but now with content going, whoop, see you later, I'm glad I have it here. So, yeah, what you see is what you get. This is essentially like a repack of everything that's been previously released. Not necessarily a bad thing, especially if you had to wait a long time between seasons to find them. Some of these seasons are out of print. They could be just really hard to find in general. So having it in one complete package is pretty cool. And like just the fact that you are getting everything more or less, that's pretty neat. So like having all 82 episodes spread across however many discs, all right, not so bad. You do get some new artwork on the cover from a guy I think who was like a background artist on the show, so it definitely has that whole Venture Brothers feel. And the show, I think, relatively holds up today, actually. If this is something that is totally up your alley of that early era Adult Swim, and just the fact that we don't know what the future of streaming is going to look like, especially with things kind of happening right now, like I said, with things disappearing everywhere, this is a great reason to have this in your collection, especially if you're a completionist. However, if you own the other seasons of this show, this is DVD quality, and considering some of the later seasons were released on Blu-ray, it's a little confusing as to why we couldn't get the complete series on Blu-ray and just up-res the first two seasons. But then again, I'm not in marketing, nor am I in digital production, so I don't know what that necessarily involves. But you get tons of special features and just, you know, everything that you've kind of come to expect from the Venture Brothers. So if you've ever wanted to see guys dressed as butterflies, people dressed like Dr. Girlfriend, and other just strange things with Hank and Dean Venture and their father, well, then you really can't go wrong with Venture Brothers, the complete series, all 82 episodes from 7 seasons. This retails for about $129 in Canada, but you can look around. You can find a little bit cheaper if you're willing to go into retailers. Sometimes Amazon will have a sale on this. I have a feeling this will drop in price, probably come closer to the holidays. But if you've ever wanted to go out on an adventure where you're probably going to die, you should definitely check out Venture Brothers, the complete series, coming to us from Warner Brothers, Discovery, Home Entertainment, and Adult Swim.
Nice onesie, Dick, that have snaps in the back so you can make poopies.
Whoa!
This is a speed suit, mister. Not a onesie.
Hey, maybe they'll think you're a 3-year-old with progeria and take pity on us.
All right, guys. Well, thank you for joining us on this spring season of This Week in Geek. And this has been an interesting season because we've had times in our news cycle where things just weren't happening. So we've pumped out a lot of reviews since we came back in January. We've had like so many things with like Aaron doing Earth versus Soup with Darlene. So big thanks to that. We welcomed a new friend to the show with Enrique Couto from Welcome to Prime Time. It's been a really good spring, Alex. Like, I think we've had a really strong season.
It's been a little chaotic when it comes to scheduling and getting our stuff, like the behind the scenes of making sure that we have time to record the shows.
Yeah, like I haven't been this busy in years.
And that's perfectly good. It's just, it's become sometimes hard when we don't know week to week what our schedules are. So we do try to get the shows out every Monday. Sometimes we've missed it. It's gone Tuesday or a Wednesday, but we're trying to make sure that is mitigated. And then, obviously when we come back in the fall, the hope is that we have a schedule in mind and be like, please don't take anything on people outside of this schedule that you've already set.
Yeah, like I know for me, my schedule picks up abruptly whenever the Guelph Storm season starts, but we're hoping to record on Sundays to make sure you always get a release on Mondays. So Sunday morning, that's me and Alex. Instead of going to church, we're going to attend the Church of Podcasting.
This is our church.
Yes, exactly. We pray at the altar of waveforms and we give thanks to the almighty gods of bandwidth. So yeah, that's going to be that going forward. We are planning on doing some RPG stuff during the summer. It'll probably come out during the fall and the winter. Just scheduling has just been so hectic this year.
And that is why I'm trying my best, telling everybody to don't commit and say things live that we're doing when we don't have a schedule set for it yet.
Yeah, that's why I say we'll probably record it during the summer and it'll come out when it comes out.
We do have a couple things we want to record. We just will not have a set schedule. So it comes when it comes, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And I know, Alex, you still have to learn the rules for Power Rangers and it is a bit of a challenge. I'm not going to lie to you, but once you get the flow of the system, it's a lot of fun.
And they're going to be, what we do record are going to be one-offs. And by one-offs, I mean, we'll be recording like a 3 or 4 hour session one time. And then it comes. We can't commit to longer than that anymore.
Absolutely not.
As much as I know you wanted to, especially, and the other guys, and even I wanted to do like a longer form sessions. I don't think we can do that right now.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'd rather do a bunch of little things than do one big thing that gets turned into mush.
Yeah, if we can record somewhere like 2 to 5 games a year, and that like basically 2 to 5 days of recording in total, where it's different games. That's great because we know it's so difficult to get people together for a consistent schedule to record 12 hours over the course of a month is so hard now.
Oh yeah.
So even during the summer breaks, because people take vacation too, right? So
yeah, exactly. Like I know next month, I know you and I were kind of joking off microphone. I'm going to play Persona 4 Golden. I'm going to finish up Shadowrun Returns. I'm going to watch an anime series from start to finish, and I'm going to disappear for several weeks in July. And that's going to be it. I'm actually going to have some real downtime, and it sucks because I have just signed a new contract that I'm going to be doing some writing for something very, very cool. I'm just waiting for them to send it back, but they did say that I can talk about it. So watch my social media for announcements on that. Yeah. And like a lot of my month off will be somewhat off, but I'm going to be working during that time too. But I know that me and Alex are planning. We've already been in contact with James Rawl for planning our annual Halloween special. And I'm always so thankful that he gives us a couple hours of his time to do something each and every year. Cause that's something we've done on TWIG since pretty much the beginning. And
yeah, I mean, it's probably been 10 times out of the 16 times or 16 years you've been around.
Yeah. And I'm just so happy to be friends with this internet personality and honestly, just a good guy who's never really had a lot of problems follow him. He's
early web 2.0 icon is probably what you can call it, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like it's cool just that James likes to hang out with us. We get a chance to do something fun.
Somebody that technically predates YouTube.
Yeah, and now we're working with Enrique Couto for stuff. I mean, he has me on his podcast, Weekly Spookies. I'm working on 2 stories right now, which will be premiering on the podcast at some point. I just have to finish them. And that's opening up some new opportunities for me as well, because I don't know, man. I'll be honest with you. I didn't think this whole writing thing for me would really kind of pan out, because I was always so insecure about my writing. Like, I never thought I'd have to do it unless I was self-published, but now I'm a published author in multiple forms. Like,
and I mean, you're good, but even if you weren't, if it sucks, what's the big deal if your writing sucks? Have you seen how much bad shit gets out there?
Yeah, like I'm not trying, it's not discouraging. I'm just like, no matter how bad you might think your writing was, there's always somebody worse that gets published, because we've seen it. Yeah, it's true. Like, it's so fascinating. And I did a TikTok the other day, and I was talking about, it feels weird to call myself a writer and an artist now. And I've had a couple of well-respected writers say, Mike, you are. It's still weird to take in. I mean, I'm just a local reporter, but now I can say that I'm a poet. Now I can say I'm an architect for certain things, and it's cool. And all that has happened since January. I started it at the Guelph Mercury Tribune in December. It is now it's June, and I've wrote so many articles. Like,
it's fucking weird. You can trace it back a little farther. It started with you going to Poetry Slam.
Yeah, and that was last April.
So within a year, of you getting over any nervousness or apprehension you might have had about performing publicly, that's what changed it.
Yeah, like, it's like, I really have to thank people like Aaron. I have to thank people like you, Guelph Poetry Slam, like Fannin and Beth Ann and Truth Is, my friend Skylar, and everybody who's ever encouraged me, like Kevin and Hope. And yeah, it's strange. And my new friend Jim, who's really been kind of helping me out. Like, this is big for me, and I couldn't have done it without the support of TWIG, with all of you out there. So thank you guys. Like, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. And we're still going to keep doing the podcast, so don't you worry about that. We like to talk about stuff. I've got so much stuff coming in from Hasbro tomorrow. I'm pretty sure I've pissed the FedEx guy off. And
yeah, like, and even me, like, stuff, even though we're going to be on hiatus, what do I have coming up that I can talk about?
Yeah, a lot of games.
Yeah, I got games,
movies.
What I hate is when you get an email from the company and they're like, don't mention you have the game before the game review comes out. And it's like, but why? Why can't I say that I'll have a review coming?
Yeah, because we just want people to get excited.
I've got one like that. We've got a second one that we mentioned you and I are going to talk about. I don't know the terms of it, so we shouldn't say anything yet. But
yeah, no, it's just going to be fun. That's all we know.
We'll be checking out. I have Final Fantasy that I'm working on for review. I will be having sometime this week. I'm receiving. Hopefully, it comes when I'm still home and I'm not visiting family. But I'll be getting a Blu-ray copy to review of Big George Foreman from Sony. And that's what I've got on my slate so far.
For me, I got a bunch of stuff from Renegade Games. I'm just really bad to stutter today. I got a bunch.
It's one of those days. It's stupid, humid, and hot. It's going to happen.
Yeah. So, like, I've got stuff for the Transformers deck building game, which is really awesome. I got the new War for Cybertron expansion. I'm looking forward to teaching Liam, just to play this fucking awesome game. I got this Zordon dice tower. It looks like Zordon, dude. It's freaking huge. It's amazing.
And you've got the Transformers box set steelbooks.
Yep, and I'm really glad you mentioned that. So me, Ken, and JT are going to be doing a special Transformers theme show to talk about the entire Transformers franchise, and I'm going to do a bit of an in-depth review on that box set during that show. But I'm also going to talk about some of the licensed properties that have come out from the Transformers thing, like the Renegade Game Studios Transformers RPG, the deck building game. We also have the new toys that are coming out, because Transformers as a brand has really come out of the gate roaring when we thought the brand was kind of starting to die after Bumblebee. But you've had Earthspark, which is the new Transformers show. Which
is getting a video game this year.
Yep, which will be coming out in, I think, the fall. I think we should get a review copy of that. And like, there's a lot to be excited about. So if you haven't seen Transformers Rise of the Beast in theaters, go see it. It's a fantastic time. What else have we got coming up this week?
It's the best Transformers live action movie outside of Bumblebee.
Yeah, it's true. Easy top 3. So yeah, we guys just got a lot of fun stuff. Like I said, we're going to do some stuff during the break. So just to reiterate, during the month of July, you're going to hear review shows every week and a half, depending on what me and Alex have. So that's pre-recorded. You're going to hear Earth versus Soup twice a week, from what I understand.
Yes.
You're going to hear some pre-recorded stuff from me and JT. I may still do some light recording with JT during the break because it's so simple. I can just talk off the cuff. It's not a lot of heavy research. Maybe me and Ken will do some stuff.
There'll be somewhere between 2 and 3 loose cannons that I'm recording with Aaron. That'll be spread out throughout the summer while I'm off, as well as
Future Imperfects.
We'll have 1 or 2 Future Imperfects that I'll be on, plus any more that you might be on. So there'll be a handful, half a dozen shows that we're going to pre-record that we're going to release, one of those a week, probably on Wednesdays, maybe alternating weeks. And then we have Earth vs. Soup, like you said, 2 times a week, plus whatever, if there's like a major topic show that pops up, like if something major happens.
Yeah, exactly. We will be on top of it.
Like, for instance, it might not be a full show, but we might do a TWIG special where we break in for 20 minutes if it's like, hey, Paramount was sold to Netflix or something.
Yeah, exactly.
That would warrant a special news report.
Yeah, I may do a random thing on Comic-Con this year. Maybe after Comic-Con's all said and done, maybe I'll do a 20-minute news break on that Monday saying, okay, guys, here's all the stuff that was announced. Here's what I care about, and maybe check it out.
And in August, Gamescom opening night live, Jeff Keighley's show, where they're going to showcase all of the European stuff. That'll be at the end of August, so we'll probably do a prototype of that when we're right around the end when we're coming back.
Yeah, so guys, don't worry, we're not going anywhere. But like I said, this is the last regular show until August 7th. I'm back. I'll have a rotating selection of co-hosts during that time. And I may be doing a few solo if I can't happen to get co-hosts. We'll kind of see what happens with that. But I've always been able to rely on JT and Ken, not even worried about it. I know Future Imperfect and Loose Cannon. I have Aaron. I have Enrique. I've got tons of cool people. I actually want to bring in Enrique's co-host, David, from Welcome to Primetime to do some fun stuff, because he's a fun guy and he knows a lot of factoids about movies and stuff. So a lot of good stuff coming up. And so again, guys, thank you for an awesome spring season. Me and Alice could not have done this without your support. Thank you to all of our partners, from Hasbro to Paramount, from Warner Brothers, Nintendo, Sony, everybody. Thank you for helping this podcast continue for 16 years. Our podcast is old enough to drive. Isn't that fucking awesome when you really think about it? Yeah. So our podcast is going to take its summer vacation. It's going to go bring its first date to the drive-in theater, which, Alex, we should find a way to do that. We're going to have ourselves a great time. So, guys, for the final time this season, I've been Mike the Birdman, and I've been joined with
Alex the producer.
And as always, guys, be excellent to each other. Be safe out there this summer. I'll be talking to you guys later on this week. So have fun, guys. Have a safe and happy summer, guys.
At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought.
Thanks for listening to this episode of This Week in Geek. Hungry for more? Check out our website at thisweekingeek.net. You can subscribe to the podcast, browse our Twitter and Instagram, and leave your thoughts on today's topics. If you'd like to give us some feedback, send us an email at feedback@thisweekingeek.net. Tune in next time, and remember,
lower your shields and surrender your listenership.
We would be honored if you would join us.
Thank you for your cooperation. Good night.